Hey, welcome to The Explainer. In the world of weight loss treatments, it feels like new drugs are always making headlines, right? But today we're looking at one that's posting some truly staggering results. We're going to break down the science and all the trial data behind a groundbreaking new drug called Retatrutide. So let's just start with a number that's got everyone talking. 28.7%. Yeah, you heard that right. In some of the latest clinical trials, people on the highest dose of retatrutide lost, on average, nearly 29% of their body weight. Now, you might see a few different numbers as we go through this, because different studies can have slightly different results, but they all point to the same incredible conclusion. This is a number that is just pushing the boundaries of what we ever thought was possible with medication alone. And this isn't just about the number on the scale. The results are blowing past expectations because the drug is also showing real promise in treating other related health conditions, like the pain from knee osteoarthritis. And what that suggests is that we could be looking at a total revolution in how we approach obesity and all of its widespread impacts. It's a much bigger story.
So how did we even get here? And what does this all really mean for the future? Well, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll put these record-breaking results into context. Then, we're going to dive into the science, the evolution that made this drug possible, and see exactly how it works its magic. After that, we'll get real and weigh the incredible results against the risks. And finally, we'll look ahead at what the future could hold for this kind of treatment.
Okay, let's dive right in. First up, putting that almost 29% number into some real-world context. Because honestly, to really get what a massive leap forward this is, you have to see how it stacks up against the other big players in the field right now. And here it is, a direct comparison. When you look at similar long-term trials, retatrutide shows a huge leap in average weight loss. It's way ahead of Tirzepatide, you might know that as Zepbound, and Semaglutide, which is Wegovy. We're not just talking about a small improvement here. This is a major step change in how effective these drugs can be. So the big question is, how did scientists pull this off? How did they get these incredible results? Well, the answer is really in the evolution of this entire class of drugs. It's a classic story of standing on the shoulders of giants, building on past successes to create something way more powerful. Okay, so think of it like this. It all started with what are called single agonist drugs, like Wegovy or Ozempic. They work by targeting just one hormone receptor, GLP-1. Then we got the next generation, dual agonists, like Zepbound or Mounjaro. They leveled up by targeting two hormone receptors, GLP-1 and another one called GIP. And now you see where this is going? Retatrutide is the first ever triple agonist. It targets all three, GLP-1, GIP, and a third one, GCG. All right, so what's the magic behind adding that third hormone? What's the secret sauce here? It's not just about adding more of the same effect. It's about creating this incredible synergy that attacks your metabolism from a bunch of different angles all at once. At its heart, retatrutide is a totally new kind of molecule. It's the first of its kind, and it's specifically designed to tackle weight loss from three different directions. It influences how much you want to eat, it changes how your body handles sugar, and it even affects how your body burns energy. And that third target, that's the real game changer. It's the glucagon receptor, or GCG. So you have GLP-1 and GIP, which are amazing at reducing appetite and controlling blood sugar. But activating this glucagon receptor, that's thought to actually crank up your body's energy expenditure. In other words, it basically tells your body to burn more calories and more fat, even when you're just sitting on the couch. Okay, the results are, let's face it, undeniably impressive. But what about the fine print, right? With any medication this powerful, there's always a trade-off. So now we got to look at the complete picture, the good and the not so good, from the clinical trials. I mean, just look at this chart. The jump in effectiveness is just striking. When you put the highest doses of these three drugs right next to each other, the difference retatrutide makes is just crystal clear. But like we said, all that extra power doesn't come for free. So this increased power comes with a list of side effects that's pretty familiar if you've been following this class of drugs. We're mainly talking about gastrointestinal issues, so things like nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting. The trials show that these are usually mild to moderate, and they tend to pop up most often when patients are just starting out and ramping up their dose. And if you look at the actual data, here's the breakdown. On the higher doses, a huge majority of people, we're talking up to 94%, reported having at least one adverse event.
Now, for a smaller but definitely still significant group, up to 16%, those side effects were bad enough that they actually had to stop taking the drug completely.
This kind of incredible weight loss brings up a really critical question. It's a question that applies to any kind of rapid weight reduction, really. Is all weight loss good weight loss? See, it's so important to understand this. When you lose weight really fast, you run the risk of losing not just fat, but also precious lean muscle. And that's a huge problem because muscle is basically your body's metabolic engine. Keeping that muscle is absolutely crucial for your long-term health and, maybe most importantly, for preventing you from regaining all that weight later on.
And that's exactly why experts are pretty much screaming from the rooftops that you have to pair these powerful drugs with some specific lifestyle changes. That means things like making sure you're getting enough protein, hitting the weights with regular strength training to tell your body, hey, keep this muscle. And, if you can, tracking your body composition to make sure the weight you're losing is actually fat, not the muscle you need.
Okay, so with results this promising, the number one question on everyone's mind is when can I get it and who is this actually for? So let's take a look at the road ahead. As you can see, this drug still has a pretty long journey ahead of it. The phase 2 results back in 2023 were really promising, but the next big milestone isn't until late 2025 when we'll see the first big phase 3 data. After that, there are a bunch more large-scale trials that need to report their findings in 2026. So what does all that mean? It means a potential approval from regulators probably won't happen until 2027, at the absolute earliest. And look, these long timelines are there for a really good reason. They have to be. They allow for these super rigorous, multi-year studies like the massive Triumph program. These trials are overseen by major institutions like the UK's National Institute for Health and Care Research, the NIHR, and they're designed to make absolutely sure a drug's safety and long-term effectiveness are completely vetted before it ever gets to the public. So who are they actually studying in these trials? Well, based on the criteria, the target patient is an adult with obesity. That's usually defined as a BMI of 30 or higher, or someone who's considered overweight with a BMI of 27 or higher, who also has at least one other weight-related health problem like high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes. And it's also really important to mention that there are key exclusions, like anyone with a personal or family history of certain types of thyroid cancer. You know, when you see a level of weight loss approaching 30%, that starts to rival the results you see from some bariatric surgeries. And that leaves us with a final, really thought-provoking question for this whole field. Are we stepping into a new era where a simple injection could replace major surgery for a lot of people dealing with obesity? Only time and a whole lot more data is going to tell us the answer to that one.